My name is Amy Marie. I am the PTSA president. It's my third year at Robinson, so I too have a junior. So I will be taking copious notes as well. It is an exciting time. I know we have our juniors and our seniors are just busy, busy, busy. I had said I hadn't met Miss Mortar because she's probably in her office with a line of students going in and out, but because I'm sure she's really busy. Pretty much. So lots of questions, lots of things.
Makes the day go by quickly. So it's good. It's all good.
You're like, oh, it's over. So I thank everybody for coming. I thank Anne for stepping up to lead this conversation. I will let her talk about who she is and what she does. And then Miss Opila is here. Welcome. You're going to talk about Canvas, I believe. And Miss Mortar, you're going to talk about, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I didn't.
anything you think we're lacking, any tips you can think of that maybe we miss.
Okay.
Please add to the conversation.
Okay,
we will go live with this in a second. So it will be streaming as well. I'll get that done right now. And if you have questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll get to them. No problem. I'm gonna push us out on Facebook land, just so we have another place for people to see stuff. I like to put us out on multiple places so that no matter where you are, you can maybe find the information. You just never know. We're gonna be awesome. So here we are, ready to go. Well, welcome everybody. We're now live streaming on Facebook as well. And we'll be recording this and we'll be adding it to our YouTube. I'm Amy Marie. I am the PTSA president. I'm just kind of here to help out and lead the conversation. Will be led by Anne Eason. So I will let you take it away, Anne. And if anybody has questions, please just pop them in the chat and I'll make sure she gets them.
Hi, I'm Anne. My name is Anne Easton. I used to have kids at Robinson. My oldest entered in 2011, and then in 2012, I started the CUBE, which is the College and Career Center, along with some other parents. And then along the way, I got my certification in college counseling. And I've been volunteering in the CUBE for 10 years. And then also in Pinellas County and some other schools. So as a volunteer, this is something I feel very passionate about, is helping kids figure out what all their choices are and then help them figure out what the steps are to get to college. And let me go ahead and let Mrs. Mortar and Ms. Opila introduce themselves, because the CUBE is really there to support their work with the kids. And so they are actually kind of the boss in this, and we are the volunteers. So Ms. Mortar, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, and good afternoon. My name is Leslie Mortar, and I am the school counselor currently serving the IB population. And it is a unique population, but I consider myself, a school counselor first. We try to help to support the students in pretty much any way that we can with the tools that we have. And the CUBE is one of those essential tools, of course, that we use quite frequently from it's its own separate entity sometimes, in terms of it's just, I can't imagine what we would do without that support. So it's just such a necessary tool. Right now with juniors, what I foresee, as my next steps, or what I maybe need to provide a little comfort to parents, especially the population I serve, as I plan to meet with juniors that are obviously rising seniors individually, so that I can get to know them better. We have to write letters of recommendation in the fall, and I can't do that I can't do it with fidelity if I don't know those students at least a little better. So it's kind of a getting to know you session. We talk about colleges of application, majors, et cetera, but I just think it's just kind of like a good getting to know them session. Sorry, I'm just being handed a big stack of documents. So I just want to reassure parents and students that I will be meeting with them and scheduling those meetings, probably before we head to IB exams, which is in May. So I anticipate probably the month of March and April that will occur. And I'll send that out through Sign Up Genius, and kids can sign up if they have a J before school or after school or whatever time is convenient for them. So anyway.
Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, Ms. Mortar. And then how about Ms. Opila? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I hope you can hear me okay. We're, as you probably know, in the portables right now, and they decided at 12 on the dot to start doing construction on the other side of my wall. I don't know what's happening, but so bear with me a little bit. I am Miss Opala. I am the college and career counselor here at Robinson for all students. Yeah, and so I am also new this year. And we have an awesome team here, and our CUBE is such an amazing resource, especially for me being the college and career counselor. So they're such a great resource and have been such a good help to me in just finding students and helping them with pursuing college or higher education or other types of programs. It's been so helpful for our students. But just, I will be going through, we have a Canvas, a student services Canvas page, which has a lot of helpful resources on it. And I don't know how many students or parents are aware of it, but there is a lot of resources. So I will share my screen in a little bit and we can kind of go through that, if that's okay. Do you want me to start this out with going through the Canvas page, or do you want me to do it
Yeah,
later?
I think that might make sense because I have a 5-page document that I'll get through as much as I can. And I think it might be better just for you to do your piece, and then that way I'll know what I can cover on the second part.
Okay. All right. And then right before that, there is not a set date yet. We have to kind of roll through the Mr. Pettit and some other people, but we will be having a junior night in mid-April probably. And that is a night where parents and students can come and kind of learn about what to do to prepare for senior year and applying for colleges and other types of programs. We're hoping to have representatives from college to form a panel. So parents and students can ask them questions about their schools. And this is also the night, I'll show it here, where we hand out our junior books that the CUBE creates. And these are such an amazing resource and has everything that you will need to know about applying for schools, all the things that I just talked about, financial aid, bright futures, everything that you need to know is in there. It's amazing. So we'll be handing those out that night. And then if you can't come to that night, we'll be going to the lunches and we have all the junior books for every senior or junior. And we'll be handing those out then, and then we'll just keep them up in student services if a student doesn't get them during lunch as well. But yeah, so I can go in and share my screen here so we can look at our student services Canvas page, which is a page that every student has. It's like listed as one of their classes, or it should be. If for some reason your student does not, then definitely let one of the counselors know so we can get it added. Okay. What did I do here? All right. Okay, can you see the Canvas page? Okay, awesome. So this is the home page of our student services Canvas page. So you'll see at the top here all the announcements. So I will post myself, or usually Ms. Dabowski or any of our counselors can post announcements. Like today I posted the Zoom at noon, PTSA volunteer opportunities, and variety of scholarships and SAT and ACT dates there. you can scroll down and we have all of these buttons here for each of the modules. So there's Naviance, community service, which is Profferfish. We have a college and career button, Bright Futures, scholarships, SAT, ACT. There's almost everything that you can imagine. So we'll go ahead and click on, oh, can you still see it? It opened another tab. Okay, so this here, this is technically, you can reach these by clicking on the modules here. And there are more sections of the module than there are buttons. So going to the modules is another good choice as well. So this first section here, you'll see all types of information about ACT, SAT, and PSAT. So the dates are on here, the websites for how you register. There's a Bright Futures tab with instructions, the handbook, which is a really great tool if you want to know all of the nitty-gritty information with Bright Futures, the requirements here for all 4 scholarships. Here we have the financial aid resources. This PowerPoint is great to look at. It has all sorts of information on that. There's step-by-step guides for students and parents. There's also tip sheets for unique situations, undocumented students. We have college and career where there's Naviance, and we also have a Naviance section as well, but you can find Naviance here, how to use Naviance. There are some great tools on Naviance to use when it comes to looking at different colleges and the statistics and things like that. We have technical program information, dual enrollment information is here, how to sign up, the deadlines. GPA and graduation requirements is a good tools to have. You can calculate your GPA, so you know where you're at, things you need for graduation, a bunch of HCC links and their programs that they have there. We work pretty closely with them. And we are actually having an HCC application day next Friday, the 11th from 10 to 12. So definitely reach out to myself or the CUBE if your student is interested in attending that. And we're going to send passes for those students, and has some representatives from HCC will be there to help our students apply for HCC, which is awesome. We have our military and ROTC programs that are in the state of Florida. Let's see, Naviance, of course, the user's guide, Profferfish, which is a big one that a lot of students come and ask me about. This first link here, getting started with Profferfish, is a slideshow and it truly goes step by step. So that is an amazing resource to learn how to use Profferfish, what your options are for volunteering. And as I posted today, the PTSA posts, they have a calendar that has the different volunteer opportunities that they have every week and ones that they work closely with, and you know, students can do multiple times throughout the year. So that is the number one place where I tell them to get community service hours, because it's through our PTSA, of course, and they
Can I just
go
interject there quickly,
after
just making sure that my IB families know that they're using Manage Back to report all of their community service. They
yes,
probably know that,
yes.
but just, yeah.
Yeah, this is just for the traditional side, use Profferfish.
We can refer and use Profferfish for, as a tool for agencies and ideas, and if they're interested in certain areas that we don't list on, it's a great tool to use. So we can use Profferfish, but the students just don't report on Profferfish.
Yep. And then this next section here, we post all of these are mostly like the more local scholarships and non-local. And then these are the dates that they're due. So the deadlines, and they're all in order here. And I'll just take them off as the deadlines pass. But there is the full list of scholarships that we have. This scholarship matrix is the one that our district puts out. So that is a great place if you're looking for scholarships. And they post one each month. So that's on here. Senior year to-dos, that's something that the Cube has created, which is amazing. It is basically all the things that you want to focus on. And that's in the junior book as well. There's the junior year one. Here's some tutoring resources. And then the last one is the Hillsborough Virtual, where we do our virtual courses through. So yeah, so there's all sorts of information on the Canvas page. So, and we're also in the midst of creating a student services page on our Robinson website. So that will have a lot of these resources as well, if just as another place to find them.
So in addition to the scholarships, I also will be working with some of my students in identifying those that would be good Quest Bridge potential scholars for both the junior and then which leads to the senior year. I like to identify them specifically and work with those students either in small groups or and also individually to try to Quest Bridge is an amazing resource for full tuition scholarships. And it is specifically for students that typically are around that free and reduced lunch rate. But what's nice about Quest Bridge is they go above and beyond that threshold. They recognize that families typically with an income of 60,000 annual income or under are going to struggle to pay for tuition to obviously to top institutions. And so they kind of link the funds that are already there from the institutions with the kiddos. And so I help identify those as well, with traditional or not. So we'll work together to identify those.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, or do you just want to put questions in the chat for either Ms. Opala or Ms. Mortar?
I know we had one question, and I just wanted to clarify that Ms. Mortar does see only the IB for counseling. Obviously, it's a non-IB student walked in and asked a question. She's not going to deny them, but
no, absolutely not.
How many traditional counselors do we have? We have quite a few now, so I'll let Marley answer that. I know we have more than one.
Yes, we have two counselors that are dedicated. They have a caseload. So Ms. Stabowski has the last names A through K, and Ms. Ferrio is new this semester. She has the last names L through Z. And then I am college and career, so I don't have exact, a caseload. So I kind of have everybody.
It's everybody.
We have technically, I guess we have 4 right now. And we also have, I know Ms. Bush does some military counseling as well. So if there's military specific questions, sometimes Ms. Bush can help with getting information for our military connected students. So we do have a lot of great resources in our counseling and career staff. It just blows my mind. We have so much. So thank you for all that you do.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will get to this document that it's an overview of just some basic things that people may or may not know about applying to college, and it's really geared toward parents of juniors as they prepare for next year and thinking about applications. And I just started off with just some facts about colleges, because a lot of times kids, you see in the media or you hear everybody talking about the most selective colleges, and a lot of kids feel like unless they have super top grades and super top scores that they're not going to get in anywhere. And then the other myth is that college is unaffordable, that if your family income is on the lower side, or especially if you qualify for free lunch, that means that you can't afford college. And that's another myth, because the lower your family's income, the more you're going to probably qualify for different types of grants and scholarships or institutional scholarships. So there are all kinds of resources, and there's so much hope and optimism about this whole process. It's really nerve-wracking. So I applaud all the parents who are here who are parents of juniors, because you're already getting a head start. So the first little fact, I just wanted to point out that most colleges are not highly selective. Most colleges accept 2/3 of the kids who apply. There's a good smaller number, like 25 to 30, that accept, between somewhere around 5% of the students. So there's a huge continuum of colleges in between. And there's just so many interesting programs out there. So I don't want anybody to be discouraged. In Florida, we have the most amazing public universities and colleges. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just for the parents to know that there are really great, huge colleges, all the way from, over 40,000 undergraduates to New College of Florida in Sarasota that has around 1,000. I mean, it is vast, the kind of size that you can find in Florida. There's the universities, which are the four-year colleges, and then the state colleges can offer certifications. They can offer 2-year degrees and also 4-year degrees. The only one that doesn't in Florida is Hillsborough Community College. Hillsborough Community College only offers 2-year degrees as well as a bunch of really amazing certifications and technical programs. And then there's a huge number of private colleges and universities, and they have their own little websites, so they're all clustered together and you can read about them. I have all these on tabs if we have time, which we won't, to look at all of them. And then last but not least are the technical colleges that CUBE volunteers have toured these colleges because they have amazing programs for students. And there are a lot of hands-on programs like welding and plumbing and construction and HVAC and nursing and data management, all kinds of really amazing programs for kids that don't really want to go to a traditional 2-year or 4-year college. So, so the first thing that parents might want to know is that kids often begin doing their research on what colleges might be a good fit during junior year. And I just put up there on this handout some of the websites that that I really like. The biggest, I'd say College Board is the most comprehensive of all the websites. They have information about pretty much everything you need. So I put the link to the specific page that you go to if you wanted to search for colleges, but you can put in your own parameters. If you want a geographic location, a certain size, if you want it to have certain, fraternities and sororities or not fraternities and sororities, if you want one that's gender specific or one that has, fencing as one of the sports. So you can actually do a really nice search on College Board to find links to the websites of all these colleges that you might be interested in reading more about. When the list is made of the colleges that the student might be interested in, it's important to have a balance between the colleges that they're likely to get into given their GPAs and their scores, ones that the student is right in the middle and have a pretty good chance. Those are called target. And then a lot of students like to have their reach colleges, and those are the ones where maybe they don't fit exactly the profile, but that they have the hopes that maybe if they apply that they might be able to get in. So bottom line, my message really is just to have a few colleges in each one of those categories. So the next bullet point is really important because I think a lot of parents think about, and even students believe that you apply to college senior year at the, kind of like in the middle or the end of senior year, but you really apply to college in the first 2 months of your senior year in order to get your applications in early, in order to possibly qualify for the most generous scholarship packages and programs. It's really important to get going on that. And that's why we're having this Zoom call, is just to kind of get you going and make you realize that the timing is a little bit sooner than a lot of people think. Applications generally open in August or September of senior year, and it's really helpful if you help your child begin that process early. The next bullet point is how the different platforms that are used to apply. So just to date myself, I applied with a paper application. I sent away for it. I got it. I filled it out with a pen, and then I put it in the mail. That was in 1981, 82. So now there are all kinds of amazing ways and much quicker ways. The biggest platform is the Common App. And I'm going to open up a Common App application today just so that you can see what it looks like. Because the Common App is the most likely platform you're going to use to help your child apply to college. So, for example, FSU and University of Florida, they take the Common App. They also take a direct to institution application, and they also take the Coalition app. So there are multiple ways, and they don't prefer one over the other. It's students get to choose which one. But most students do choose the Common App because if they're going to apply to more than one college that takes the Common App, the nice thing is to have it all be in one place. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. It's really not that complicated. And it's such a step up from the way it was when I was young. And the number 4 way to apply, and this is for in this platform, there's 66 HBCUs, which are historically Black colleges and universities. And they have a really awesome process where in order to apply to one or to apply to 66, it's $20. And you fill out one application and it gets sent to all the institutions that you want it to be sent to. So that's a newer kind of platform, which is amazing. And that $20 to apply to as many as you want is unique to the Common Black College app, not true for the Common App, the number 1 there on the list. For the Common App, you have to apply and pay separately to each college that you apply to. I'll finish this page and then I'll ask if there's any questions. The next bullet point is college essays and letters of recommendation. Again, it's a little bit of a myth that every college requires an essay and that every college, that it matters, the letters of recommendation really matter. In Florida in specific, a lot of the public institutions don't require an essay and also don't require letters of recommendation. So a lot is based on the students' list of activities, their leadership history, and their GPA and their scores. And so it doesn't include letters of recommendation or essays. And so that's a surprise to a lot of people. But a lot of colleges do require essays and letters of recommendation, just not the big public universities here in Florida. The next bullet point is Florida state colleges. Those are the 28, 2-year to 4-year colleges like HCC and St. Pete College. They're actually open enrollment, open admission. So if you apply and you have a high school diploma, you will get in. You may have, anyway, it's a wonderful system. And so for students who say, oh, my GPA is too low, I'm not going to get into college, that's not true. If they can graduate from high school, then they can get into one of the Florida state colleges. And the cost to go to HCC is somewhere around $3,000 a year. That is for 2 full semesters. Florida state universities are the 12, what we call the SUS, Florida State University System. Those cost about double what the state colleges cost. And if the student lives on campus, there's a place you can go and find out what the costs are. But the rough estimate is that, with a dorm and a food plan and books and transportation and other expenses, it's about $16,000 extra a year, but there are ways to keep that as low as possible if money is an issue. Okay, so I'm done with this page, and I'm wondering if anybody has any questions. You can just unmute yourself, or you can write it in the chat.
You have one in the chat. It
Oh,
says,
good. Okay.
does having an essay or letter of recommendation help if it's not required?
Great question. And you have to read each website very carefully. Some are so explicit. Like, for example, I was just on the UCF website today, and they say if they don't require letters of recommendation and they don't require an essay, they have a an optional essay. So anytime your student is applying to a college and there's an optional anything, you should do it. So for UCF, it's an optional essay and it will help their application to do the essay. It will show their commitment and their interest in going to UCF. But it's very explicit on their website. Do not send letters of recommendation. They will not read them. And that's true for University of Florida too. Do not send letters of recommendation. They will be annoyed. It could actually even possibly work against you. If they say it's optional, then do it. If they say do not do it, then do not do it. And every college is different. All right, let's see. Is there a resource for the kids to get help with college essays? The CUBE has some volunteers that are trained to help. I'm pretty sure Ms. Opala would help, and I'm pretty sure that Ms. Mortar would help. The other place most students go is the senior English teacher. Whoever they have, those English teachers are pretty used to kids saying, hey, will you be willing to read my essay? There are websites, tons of websites. And I actually, I'll give you the link to the one I like the best with really, really great pointers on how to approach the essays. But if you want somebody to give you feedback, you know, a lot of times you can ask, the student can ask their parents to read it. The students can ask their, you know, any kind of adult in their life who might be a mentor to them. It's good to have adult eyes on it. On the other hand, a lot of kids get different feedback from different people based on their training or their own point of view. So I would say the counselors are probably the best place to start, and then maybe the CUBE volunteers. Let's see. Is there, okay. What are your thoughts on test optional? It's complicated. I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't know. I would say in Florida, if you're going to be applying to any Florida schools, you have to take the SAT or the ACT because they require them. And for Bright Futures, it's required. Florida just has pretty strict parameters around that. Test optional is, there's, you know, California is all test optional. Most selective colleges are test optional right now. But there's so many different ways to approach it. So I'm not going to be able to give like a blanket statement about it. But if you're going to apply in Florida, you really have to take the SAT or ACT. Paper app reads college essays. I'm not sure what that means, paper app.
Is the paper app the new app that the district's using for homework? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a tutoring service that our district works with, and they actually, some of the tutors are specific for reviewing college essays. So that's another good resource.
That's a great tip. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
We'll definitely push that out.
Wow, that
That's
is
cool.
wonderful. I didn't know.
I didn't know that. Yeah, it's new. It's a newer service that the district just adopted.
The district is jumping to it. Okay, let's see. Can you apply for scholarships as a junior before knowing the choice of your child's school, or is it best to be accepted somewhere first and then proceed? Yeah, you can apply. There's, oh gosh, you know, I actually think, Amy Marie, if it's okay, let's have a separate scholarships Zoom
sure.
call.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I could talk for 10 hours. There are so, I will.
So many resources. Yes.
There's just a lot of resources, and a lot is very individualized. But the blanket answer is yes. And I would just Google scholarships for juniors. Most scholarships are for, you know, are more targeted towards seniors, but but it's always better to start early. And so your question, I would say it's not a good idea to be accepted first, because with the more selective colleges, the students don't find out if they're accepted until the end of March of their senior year. So, and then the day that they're supposed to tell the college whether they're coming or not is May 1st. So that would give you a month, and that's just not enough time. Plus, a lot of the scholarships might have been taken already. So I would say most students apply for scholarships senior year, early in senior year. And then a lot of scholarships are tied to the specific university that they're going to. So, and sometimes you don't even have to apply separately for scholarships at the universities. That you're just considered, if once you turn in your FAFSA or your CSS profile, you're just considered automatically for scholarships. So again, there's just too much information about that. But I'd say go ahead and see if you can find scholarships to apply to even as a junior, but there won't be as many. Is there an advantage of one of the tests over the other, SAT versus ACT? That one is so easy. The answer is no, there is no advantage. The schools really see them exactly the same way. Okay, I think that's it. Any other questions?
I don't see any right now.
Do you mind if I say something real quick about the
Yeah, go ahead.
SAT? Okay, I actually found this really great chart that kind of compares them. So I'm going to post it on our Canvas page, and that just reminded me. But it depends on the student's strengths for sure. That's what I always tell students. We recommend that each student take both to see which one that they are more successful with and which one they like better and score higher on. So definitely I would recommend to take both, and then whichever one your student does better on, they should, continue to take that if they want to improve their score.
Yes, excellent advice.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to put a little something. We went to the Huntington Learning Center, and I don't know if it's true in 100% of cases, but they had recommended that the ACT was easier to get higher gains in. If like your child takes it and it's not quite where they want it to be, they can prepare a little bit more and get more points a little faster than the SAT.
Yeah, so I would say that there's a lot of anecdotal kinds of advice that you get from people based on the people they know, or the Huntington program or whatever. So just be aware, there's just so much sometimes contradictory advice. The bottom line is exactly what Ms. Opala said, is that for some kids, their learning style and their some kids work quickly and maybe don't do well when they're asked super deep, complex questions, and then they have to ponder things. So depending on the learning style and the cognitive style of the student, they're going to they'll respond better to the ACT or the SAT. So that's why to take one of each and just get a sense for percentile wise where your student ends up, and then choose the one where they're the higher percentile, and look at what the weaknesses are on that exact test, like what areas did they maybe not do as well in, and focus on those, and get as much reading, or getting on Khan Academy, or going to the library, or buying one of those prep books, and then ask your child to do all the studying, which they may or may not do, because sometimes parents care more about their scores than the students do. And so, yeah, it just has to do with also your child's patience and whether they realize how important it is. All right. Any other questions?
I think this might be, Miss Ophelia, this one might be better for you. My son took the PSAT and is signed up to take the PSAT this month. However, he hasn't signed up for the SAT yet. When and where can he sign up for the test? I assume he'll take it in May, and again, his senior, to try for a better score. But he should, it's taken in March, right?
Yeah, so on our Canvas page, if your student should have access to that you can go to that SAT and ACT section, and it'll take you right to the websites. But usually you sign up right through the ACT website, and then the SAT website is College Board. So you'll sign up directly through there.
But what about the one for 3-2 on campus? Do they have to sign up for that one?
No, they don't have to sign up for that.
No.
Yeah, so yeah.
Go. Oh, okay. So the on-campus one, the SAT that will be held on March 2nd is for all juniors, and then our select seniors who have to meet the graduation requirement. So they will not have to sign up for it. They will be called down, and yeah, so they just have to show up to school.
But anything outside of that test, they need to sign up through ACT or through SAT.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, so this I'll try to kind of go through quickly because these are things that you can click on the links and read about. The Florida colleges are looking for you to have graduated from high school. That's their criteria to get in. And so, but they have really wonderful programs. The Florida universities are basically pretty selective. They, for the most part, they require an GPA average around 3.5 and SAT or ACT scores that are pretty high. So they're much more selective than they used to be, and that's surprising to a lot of parents. And then you can click on that link that says, you know, what are the averages of the GPAs and the scores, because it's just so useful to know generally what each college is looking for. The other selective colleges, this is from a research study that was done by the National Association of College Admissions Counselors. And I won't go through each one, but this is the ranking and the importance of each one of the factors that they look at, the admissions committees look at. And this is for holistically reviewed college applications, which outside of the big, well, University of Florida considers itself holistic. So they will look at grades, they will look at what kinds of classes your child took, the strength of your child's curriculum. They will look at the scores on the ACT or SAT. Number 4, University of Florida actually does have some essays, and they will read them, and they really do weigh them. Number 5, there is no counselor recommendation for University of Florida, but for other colleges, they have. Anyway, so you can see that the most important thing for holistic university admissions is grades in the more rigorous classes. So GPA is more important than scores on the ACT or SAT. But you can click on that link and read lots of detail about that. Now, I did a whole section here on financial aid. It's 1244. I don't, yeah, let's see. I guess I'll try to go through it quickly. So Ms. Opala already showed us on Canvas how to find links. They've got wonderful resources, scholarship websites, and the interesting thing that a lot of junior parents don't know is that Hillsborough County Public Schools puts out a matrix of scholarships that they know about, and it's usually like 4 pages long, and they update it every month. And so if you click on the link through Canvas, or you just Google Hillsborough County Public Schools Scholarship Matrix, you can get that scholarship matrix and then ask your child to apply to all the scholarships on there. So, and I love it because I love the fact that it's updated every month. So that's my favorite one that I recommend for parents and students. Bullet point number 2, this will be the point of my Zoom that was going to focus on financial aid, but there is a difference between what you read about the college's cost and what their actual net price is going to be for you and your family, because all the colleges take into account what your family's income is, how many people are in your family, how old everybody is in your family, because of retirement planning. And, you know, anyway, there's all these things that financial aid takes into account. So two different families are going to pay two different prices, depending on their own set of financial factors. So each college has on their financial aid webpage, they have something called the net price calculator. And I really encourage you just to kind of, you know, go to one of the websites and put in the information they ask, and you'll be surprised. The lower your income, the less you'll pay. The higher your income, the more it'll be close to the sticker price. But it's kind of fun to look at that and see what the differences are. There's different levels of financial aid. I won't go into too much detail, but it's really amazing all the different ways you can find to pay for college. And these outside scholarships that come from like FastWeb or unigo.com are probably your least likely sources to find money for college because they're national. And so hundreds, maybe thousands of students apply for the same scholarships. Your best likelihood for financial aid or scholarships is from the university itself. So each time your child applies to college, their FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, will help determine what kind of financial aid package you'll get. But I'll just kind of focus on the Bright Future scholarships, which is specific to Florida and Florida universities and colleges. I'm sure all of you have heard of Bright Futures. And here are the criteria. I'm sorry, I forgot to underline the Florida Medallion Scholars. But the two top scholarships from the state of Florida cover 100% tuition for the FAS and 75% of tuition for the FMS. And it's amazing. And so I would just click on the link and you can read more about how to access that. So I see that there's, so I'm going to go ahead and look. Okay, my son. Okay, did we answer the question about the PSAT and the SAT and how to sign up?
Yes, that one we did,
Okay.
but not if your child gets Bright Futures, but you also have Florida prepaid for tuition, will the Bright Futures then go to cover room and board, etc.?
Great question. I'm not an expert on Florida prepaid, but my anecdotal experience with all my friends, we didn't get Florida prepaid for my kids. My understanding, unofficial understanding is yes. The answer is that is exactly what it's used for. So if your child goes to University of Florida, has full Bright Futures, the FAS, so that means their tuition is completely covered, then your prepaid will pay for all the other expenses, room and board and all that. For the Bright Future scholarships, is both required or just one? It's just one. Yeah, I hope that's clear. And the other thing is it's super scored. So if your child takes the SAT 3 different times, they're going to take the highest, you know, the English side and the math side, and they're going to combine them to get to the number to qualify. So they may not get Bright Futures from their first go round, but if they take it again and maybe they do a little bit better, do it again, and then they combine their scores and they can get to the right score. So that's really important to know. Okay, any other questions? One thing I want to point out is this Florida Medallion Scholars. This is brand new as of last year. But if your child, let's say, has a 3.2 GPA and a 1220 SAT, so they don't qualify for Bright Futures, the highest level, Florida Academic Scholars, but they do qualify for Florida Medallion Scholars. If they choose to go their first 2 years to HCC, they will have their tuition 100% covered. So that's because it's a Florida college. But if they go to USF, they will have their tuition covered at 75%. So I know it's
Still a
to
great
me, it's a-
number.
what's that?
That's still a big percentage. That's awesome.
Oh, I know. It is amazing. Yeah, we are very lucky in Florida to have bright futures. Okay, so I think this is what I'm going to do for the last part of this is this next section here where I wrote a sampling of national competitive scholarships for high achieving students, not exhaustive. There's plenty of other ones, but these are important for junior parents and students to know about because their deadlines are so early. These are, for the most part, for kids that are low income. They're not high income, high achieving, they are lower income, high achieving. So the one that I want to talk more in depth about is the one that Ms. Mortar talked about, which is the questbridge.org. Oh gosh, no, I was going to show you the Common App. Okay, so anyway, we'll do the Common App. I won't talk too much about QuestBridge, but she was indicating that it's really for high achieving, low income kids who would probably be able to get into some of the Ivies or some of the what's called near Ivies, really competitive schools to get into. Emory is the closest one to us geographically, but I think they have like somewhere around 30 universities. They're like Vassar, Yale, Princeton, Northwestern, like Columbia, really, really highly selective schools. But these are kids that are super competitive and low income. And so she was indicating, and I'm sure Ms. Opala will also be working, they'll work together on identifying good candidates. So students that might be a good fit for the QuestBridge scholarship, but it is amazing. It's one of my favorite scholarships out of this whole list. All right, so I'm actually going to stop share and go to, there it is. Okay, so can you see the screen that it says Common App? Okay.
Yep.
So this is one of the platforms, as I was explaining earlier, that 900 colleges and universities are they use for students to apply to. And I just wanted to kind of demystify it because it's a little scary to think about it, but it's really not. So the first thing I did, so as parents, if you wanted to, you could create your own account, which I did because I wanted to be able to use it for teaching purposes. So I have my own account and I'm saying that I'm a first-year student. So you can see, and I'm going to sign in so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what happens is you come to the Common App and it gives you this dashboard. And I've worked with different students on different things. So I'm going to choose, let's look at Boston University. So when you click on, anyway, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't matter. So, so here are my colleges and they're all listed here on the left. These are the ones that, let's pretend that I'm a student and I'm applying to all these. The reason they each have their own little extra spot is that each one of these colleges has extra supplemental essays and information that they want. And so the Common App is this part, which is just all personal information. It asks for my family information, who's in my household. It asks what's everybody's education. It asks about the tests that I've taken. And
So,
then, yeah.
I asked a quick question on this. So we were advised to fill this out now, like get this part started because it saves the information. So when they are ready, over summer, closer to senior year starting, that they'll be ready. Like this part will be out of the way. So it really,
I love that idea.
my daughter already discovered that all the colleges on her list are on here. So she was kind of excited that she only has one kind of to do.
Yes, so Amy, that is really, I think the whole point of inviting junior parents to come is to see that their child can actually sign up for one of these this early. And you're right. So not only does it, I just want to show you one, and I know we're almost out of time, but let's do for Boston University. You can see here that it lists all these things. It tells you what's required. It asks all these things are required. They do ask for a teacher evaluation. One is required, one is optional. Then they want a personal essay, and then they've got supplemental questions that are specific to Boston University. But this is the part I needed to show you. The most important part is where it says recommenders and FERPA. So recommenders and FERPA, I was asked to tell you that when you choose, so when your junior gets their own college, Common App account, and they choose the colleges that they might want to apply to, they need to go to this section, this recommenders and FERPA section, and then they need to release, they need to waive their right to the FERPA to be able to look at what, it's so complicated. Bottom line is just pay attention to FERPA. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I was asked to make sure I explained that it's important to waive your right to FERPA because teachers won't write your letters of recommendation if you have not waived your right. Oh, should I explain, or should I just assume that you have in your head that FERPA is important and you have to waive your right? Anybody have any opinions?
What's your opinion, Miss Ophelia?
It's too confusing, really. FERPA is just a privacy statement. So the privacy statement is that I promise as a student to not ever ask to read the letters of recommendation that were written for me. Now, of course, I would love to read the letters of recommendation that were written about me, but if I say I want to read them, then the teachers won't write them. And so you're not going to be able to get into any college that requires letter of recommendation unless you waive it.
Cool.
So it's kind of like HIPAA. I kind of think of it the same way. It's like, it's about privacy of information. And so you're allowing the teachers to be honest, because if the teachers knew you were going to read it and the parents were going to read it, then they wouldn't be honest in their letters of recommendation. So that was what I was asked to explain. Okay, so we are out of time. I'm so sorry I rushed at the end.
There's
Anyway,
so
but
much.
bottom line is go ahead and get a Common App, have your child get a Common App account. It will roll over on August 1st to be the correct year. So everything that they do right now will be retained, and then we'll roll into this next year when they update the application on August 1st.
They can actually, I think they can see what the topics are for the essays as well. What I understood, like for some of them, obviously some of them require an essay, but the questions should be there for even for next year.
Yeah, so when you click on Common App and you click on writing, then when you just get onto that spot, right here are all the questions. So these are the 7 that you can choose from.
Cool. So
and they're pretty much the same every year. It's sometimes they'll erase one and add one, but bottom line is they're just asking the student to write about who they are, what they believe in, what their values are, and how they've demonstrated those values through their activities and through their commitment to their family or whatever. But it's just the student writing about themselves.
I heard last week that they had to confirm that these will be definitely the same questions for next year. So if you wanted your kids to look at them and start thinking about them, they will be the same. I had a question, Anne. Can we see the end of that your PowerPoint where it had the timeline? We couldn't see quite the end.
Sure.
I just wanted to.
I also put the link to it in the chat, so you can print it out, and all the links will be live too.
Yeah. So here's the time. Can you see the timeline now? February, March, and then April, May, then the summer, some ideas for the summer, and then beginning of your senior year. But yes, I would recommend that you you click on it through the link that Amy Marie shared, and then you'll have it. And it'll be in the cube also for your students to be able to have. Okay, I am done.
I'm gonna add it in here too. I just added it again at the bottom in case nobody had time to scroll all the way to the top where I put it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's on our website. I posted it a little while ago. So all of these links will be live. You can actually click them and do that fun stuff. So we'll probably edit for a paper copy so that there's a QR code. Just to make it easier.
Well, thank you all for coming, and thank you for letting me.
Thank you, Anne. We really appreciate your time you take to spend with us and share your knowledge. For those that don't know, Anne was like the creator of the Cube. So the reason we have the Cube is because of her and a couple other parents, I believe. So it was there when I got here 3 years ago, and it's been a great resource. We will start seeing juniors again. Emily couldn't be here today. She's our CUBE coordinator, but we're in planning, trying to figure out with our new campus, the way it is, kind of how we're gonna get the kids to the CUBE. So maybe we'll have I don't know. So, but we will hopefully start seeing them. I think she said next week.
Can I ask a really quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
If at some point during the upcoming year we wanted to reach out, as an IB student, would it be Miss Opila? As far as, because I missed the first 5 minutes of the meeting today. So are you like a consultant that we would speak to or reach out to regarding IB and juniors going forward?
IB would be Miss Mortar, who is our new college and her IB counselor. And then Miss Apilia is college and career. So I guess anything college and career, it doesn't matter what kind of student you are. And then we have two traditional.
And just send an email and make an appointment?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's Leslie. She typed it in here. It's Lesley, right? And then dot MORTER. That's right, isn't it, Marlon? I think at HCPS. I just typed it in there.
Thank you so much.
No problem. She's brand new, so please reach out to her. She's really nice. Hopefully we'll be having more. We'll probably talk more, go down the rabbit hole with the scholarships and grants and all those fun things that are available, because that's a whole hour and 2 hours on its own, I believe. So we do have the PTSA scholarship. If your student is a senior, if you happen to have a senior or you know a senior, please have them apply for the ones that we have. They're all over campus. You can just scan a QR code. So if you have questions, please reach out to PTSA. Any of the counselors, everybody's awesome at helping and guiding. Like, you may ask the wrong person, but they'll guide you to the right person. So thanks for taking your time to be here, everyone. And I'll make sure that this gets edited here in the next day or so. And I'll get it up on the YouTube channel. I have quite a few to edit. So thank you guys. And I'm happy to answer any questions if I know the answer. Oh, and Miss Ophelia, she put her email in there too. So if you need any questions, you can reach out to her. She's an amazing resource. But I highly suggest Canva. Check out Canva. There's so much great information on there. You guys have done a really good job of having like a one-stop shop for us to find the things that we need to find, and students. So thank you. I'm sure that's partially you're doing. So all right, guys, we'll see you later.
Thank you.